When I hit Tegra 3, there were a lot of Maunhouser ships, and they were very angry. But that didn't mean they could do anything to stop me on my way in. The dagger rushed between them, already burning hard to decelerate before I hit the asteroid field. As soon as I reached the edge of the field, I flipped into a quick tumble to change direction and pushed the engines back up as far as I dared. I hadn't practiced that part, but I was confident going in. Even during the worst of situations, I was a fair pilot, though plenty of that was probably thanks to the Maunhouser tech in my head. But I figured it had been replaced with even better, and I had an ancient ship to fly it with. Well, a newer ship, really. But it felt ancient, since it was more advanced, and where I'm from, the older something is, the better usually. Anyways, I dove into the jumbled field of rocks faster than I had any sane right to do. Almost immediately, I realized that even with the intimate connection between myself and the dagger, we weren't going to make it in one piece if I continued at my current pace. So I decelerated a little and focused on throwing the dagger past each rock that came hurtling at us. Within a couple of subcrons, a small swarm of Maunhouser drones came in after me, probably deployed from the ships I'd blasted past. I guess their operators must have thought their extra maneuverability would allow them to keep pace with me. They were wrong. Even the drones fell behind as they were forced to dodge the small rocks that I just allowed to careen off the dagger's hull, and most of the patrol craft didn't dare risking a chase through the asteroids. A couple of them worked their way after me while the others began to converge on the outer rim of the field, so that I wouldn't be able to get out without going through them first. It helped that I wasn't anywhere near where the secret gate was, since Katherine and I had left the Esta far enough away that Maunhouser wouldn't be looking for it. As such, most of the pursuing ships seemed content to let me dash myself upon the rocks, while they waited to pick me off when I tried to flee. Fortunately for me, I had other plans. I just had to reach the Esta. Unfortunately for me, I encountered all the problems one experiences when searching for a seemingly invisible ship. It's always so hard to find where you left the perg-hopping thing. In truth, I might have exaggerated my confidence for Quantra's sake. I did know the rough area, and I figured I'd recognize the rock I'd left it floating next to, but I had to get close to the thing first. And, as it turned out, the rock had drifted a bit since I'd last seen it, which had brought it closer to the edge of the field rather than the middle. So, by the time I figured out where the Esta was, I was skirting dangerously close to the firing range of the Maunhouser ships lurking outside of the field. But then I found it, and as one of the larger rocks in the area drifted out of my way, I kicked the engines up again for an extra burst of speed as I drove in toward home. Someone on those waiting ships must have become impatient, because as the dagger dove toward where the Esta lay hidden, one of the Maunhouser ships edged its way into the field and opened fire. I spun the dagger around to slow my velocity, attempting a quick tumble as I did so, but there was limited maneuvering room due to the surrounding rocks. Of course, those obstacles worked both ways, as most of the incoming fire scattered off the rocky debris around me rather than scoring direct hits on the dagger. Even so, more than a few landed glancing blows, and thanks to the full interface, they felt almost as though they had struck my physical body rather than the shell of my shuttle. I redoubled my tumbling, pushing another burst of speed out of the dagger as a large rock drifted past, blocking the opposing ship's line of sight and giving me a chance to dive for the safety of the Esta's active stealth field. Of course, that was when I realized one small flaw with what I had envisioned happening next. In the revs I'd had the Esta, I'd had my share of exciting escapes. More than a few times I'd made similar dashes, hurtling for the safety I knew the Esta's active stealth field would provide. There was almost always a wonderful moment when the pursuing ships would slow, as though dumbfounded, after whatever I was flying crossed the stealth field's threshold and vanished from their view. I expect some of them thought they'd gotten me, while others were confused by the apparent sensor malfunction. Maybe some of them even chalked it up to magic, as I'd heard rumors about a bounty hunter who could simply vanish into the dark of the void. Regardless of the reason for the lull, those precious few moments gave me the time to dock and get to the Estes Bridge. Of course, all that worked